Hi everyone, in Algebra 2B, we are going to be going over the new material in lesson 98. In the comment section of this video, you're going to place all of your questions for lesson 98A by tomorrow at 9 a.m. For this one, we're talking about the relationship of numbers, and there's actually a formula you do need to have memorized. And that formula shows up as here. The number that you are solving for is equal to the first number plus the fraction times the second number minus the first. So what we're looking for is a fractional distance between two different numbers. And in the problems that you are given, the values that show up are going to be in this order. It's always going to be fraction, first, second. So fraction, first, second, and that's how you're going to input it into the formula right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over the two of the example questions, and then we'll do the ones from the lesson. So this is all going to follow this equation right here. The number is equal to the first number plus fraction times the second minus the first. And again, it shows up as fraction. Find the number that is fraction of the way from first to second. So now I've identified all my variables to plug into this equation. So the first number again is 30. The fraction is 7/10. The second number is 40 minus the first number, which is 30. So now that I've plugged in all of my variables, now I'm just going to evaluate. So I have 30 plus 7 over 10, and then 40 minus 30 is 10. The 10s are going to cancel, and so I am left with 30 plus 7, which means that your answer is going to be 37. And that is your result. So again, we're using this formula first plus fraction times second minus the first. The way it shows up in the problem is always fraction, first, second. And that's how we're going to be solving these problems. So now if we look at this one's going to be with fraction, so it gets a little trickier. We have find the number that is 1/5 of the way from 1/8 to 9/11. Okay, so I'm going to start with the number is equal to the first, which is 1/8, plus the fraction, which is 1/5, times the second, 9/11, minus the first, which is 1/8. Now, in order to add these fractions together, remember, you always start with the parentheses first, so we'd have to add the fractions first. I need to have a common denominator, so I'm going to make a common denominator of 88. So I have 9 times 8, which is 72 minus 11, which would be 61. So I'd have 1/8 plus 1/5 times 61 over 88. Now I'm going to multiply, because you have to multiply first, leaving the 1/8. That would be 61 over 88 times 5, which is 440. The common denominator is going to be 440. So I need to multiply that 8 times 55. So this would be 55, 55. So really, I'm left with 55 over 440 plus 61 over 440. And 55 plus 61 would give me 116 over 440. And then we need to simplify that, and that's all divisible by 4. So I have 29 over 110 is my result. So tedious because you have to be able to make common denominators, but really if you follow the problem and follow the equation, it's a pretty simple equation. So this is for lesson 98. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do from lesson 98 number 6, 7, and 8. I do want you to try these first before you press play and attempt them with me. So pause the video now so you can attempt them, and then press unpause when you are ready to try them with me. So for number 6, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula. So it's always, this is how it shows up. It's fraction, then first, then second. The formula is first number, so 1/4, plus the fraction, which is 1/2, times the second, 7/12, minus the first, which is 1/4. Now you always start with parentheses first. So 7/12 minus 1/4. I need a common denominator. So I have 1/4 plus 1/2 times 7/12 minus 3/12. Well, that would be 4/12. So 4/12, which I could simplify to 1/3. So 1/4 plus 1/2 times 1/3. Well, 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6, so I have 1/4 plus 1/6. Now, in order to add those fractions together, you're going to want to make a common denominator. That common denominator is going to be 12. So I have 3/12 plus 2/12. Leaves me with 5/12. Okay. Now moving on to number 7. This one's a little different than the ones we did in the example. So I'm going to show you how we do this. If you haven't attempted it, please attempt it now before you press play. So the number is equal to the first number, which is 1 1/5, plus the fraction, which is 2/5, times 2 5/6, minus 1 1/5. Now, before I actually start this problem, I'm actually going to I'm going to make these into improper fractions. So this would become 6/5 plus 2/5. This is 12 plus 5, which would be 17/6 minus 6/5. Now we're going to make a common denominator. That common denominator is going to be 30. So I'm going to multiply this by 5 and this by 6. So I still have 6/5 plus 2/5. So 17 times 5 gives me 85/30 minus 36/30. So 65, or 6/5, plus 2/5 times 49/30. Now to make this a little simpler, 2 does go into 30 15 times. So now I have 6/5 plus 49/15 times 5, 75. Again, you do need to make a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply this one by 15. And 15 times 6 is going to give us 90/75 plus 49/75. And that would give me a result of 139/75. And that would be your result. And you can leave it like that, or you can write it as an improper fraction. It doesn't matter which one you do. But you can either write this or write it as a mixed number, and either one would work. Now we're also going to do number 8 together. So number 8. So remember that we're doing substitution. So you need to start by solving for one of the letters and then plugging it in. I'm going to choose to solve this top equation for x. So that would be 3x equals -2y plus 5, divided all by 3, which would give us x is equal to -2/3 y plus 5/3. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it into the second equation, which would be 5 times -2/3y plus 5 over 3 plus 6y equals 7. Now, if you distribute the 5, you get negative 10 over 3y plus 25 over 3 plus 6y equals 7. But remember that we don't like to deal with fractions, so we're going to multiply this whole thing by 3 to get rid of the fraction. That would make this just negative 10y plus 25. 3 times 6 is 18. And 7 times 3 is 21. I'm going to move the 25 to the other side by subtracting it. Add the 18, negative 10 and the 18 would give me 8y equals negative 4. Now when we divide this by 8, y is actually going to be equal to negative 1/2. And then to solve for what x is equal to, I plug that in to my negative 2/3 times negative 1/2 plus 5/3. Notice that the 2's are going to cancel, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so that would be 1/3 plus 5/3 gives us 6/3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So your answer is going to be 2 comma negative 1/2. Remember to write your answer as an ordered pair, so it's x comma y. And this concludes your new material from lesson 98. I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.